taking the time to attend our annual State of the City and County program presented by Northside Hospital in Forsyth. This evening we have partnered with Fetch Your News. You'll notice one of the cards on your seat, fyntv.com. This will be streamed on there and you can watch this over and over again. And we're happy to have them as our media partner. And this will also be available on our Facebook site streaming live there. So hello to our Facebook viewers right now. I'd like to ask Sheriff Stacey Gerard if he'd come forward and lead us in our invocation.
I felt real good until you said it was streaming live. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I've been in Atlanta since Monday with the Georgia Sheriff Association. We've had a rather busy day there the last few days, and just got out. I said, hey, I gotta be back in Dahlonega by 5, but I thought this started at 5. But ended up, luckily it started at 5:30, but I did roll back in about 4 o'clock. So I guess that's one good thing of being president. I got to close the meeting out when I wanted to. But I am thankful to be here tonight, and I thank the Chamber for asking me to come and do the invocation. Before I do that, I always like to ask if there's any prayer concerns in the audience, because I always like to mention prayer for anyone that needs prayer. Anybody got anything? Friend, family, or any other conflict? Yes, ma'am.
Morris family.
Morris family.
Morris.
Okay.
As most of you all know, Dr. Raver is in hospice, and he's at the Dahlonega Center. But I'll take those. He'd like to see friends, but if you do show up there, just spend about 15 minutes max, if you would. But he is in hospice care at this time.
Right.
I think we should just pray over our legislators while they're in legislative session. They'll just be guided and directed, and all that goes well. And they'll have safety department as they go back and forth.
Right. And that's what we've been meeting with all week, this week, with the Sheriff's Association about legislators and some new bills that are coming through, ones that they're trying to push through, ones that they're holding back, and it's a tough year this year. And of course, every year I believe is a tough year, and I'm not going to get into that because that's not what tonight is about. But we've got a lot of issues in the state of Georgia that I'm very concerned with the safety of the roadways and things of that nature. Some bills that are in motion. So hopefully they listen to us. We met with a lot of legislators yesterday, and met with the Speaker of the House, and we talked to him, gave him our concerns, and hopefully he will listen to us. I hope that happens. Any more prayer concerns? Anything? I am thankful to be in Dahlonega. It's so much better than being in Atlanta. The people are just, you know, I was around a lot of different people over the last few days, and you know, when I go to get on the elevator, get off the elevator, if someone's coming on off, I yield to them, but you know, it's just not that way in Atlanta. And I'm glad that we have that personality up here to yield to people and, you know, say hey or whatnot. But that, I mean, it's like we said, hey, they look at you strange. Why did you talk to me? But, you know, it's just a different atmosphere. But I'm so thankful to be in Dahlonega. I'm thankful to be here tonight, and I'm thankful for this program that's being put on. I know our commissioners and city council will do a great job. All the speakers, the mayor, and our Chris Dockery will do great tonight. I have confidence in them, and I know that they're working better than I've seen in my tenure of being sheriff for 11 years and 23 days that I've been sheriff. But I have not seen the city and the county work any better together than I have the last few months, and thank you for that. Now we'll pray, and then we'll move on with the meeting. I'll get out of your way. Lord, we just thank you for this beautiful day, and just thank you for all the blessings that you've given us, and just thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for another day of life. Lord, you've heard some prayer requests that have been mentioned in the audience. Please be with those prayer concerns that have been mentioned. If there's others that's known that was not mentioned, Lord, just be with those. Any conflicts that anyone's going through, Lord, just keep your hands around them, and all the leaders of this community, of the state, of the nation. Lord, there's just a lot of turmoil going on. Just, if you would, keep your hands around America, keep your hands around the state of Georgia, and around Lumpkin County here, and just help guide us in the right directions. Let us always be mindful of who we represent. Let us always be mindful of the conflicts that are going on, and to not form judgment, but to hear them through. Just thank you for our health again, Lord. Just thank you for another day of life, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Sheriff. We're always fortunate to have you join us and have you serving in our community. The Dahlonega Lumpkin County Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau's mission is to grow the economy, attract visitors, advocate for all businesses, and develop leaders to promote the welfare of the community. We advocate for all businesses through our Government Affairs Committee, chaired by Zach Tumlin, and it organizes events such as the Dahlonega Lumpkin County Day at the Capitol, State of Education, State of the State, and candidate forums. Our programs and events aren't possible without the support of our sponsors, partners, and volunteers. Our presenting sponsor tonight is Northside Hospital for Sight, and I don't think we had anybody that was able to join us tonight, but we appreciate their great partnership with us. Our gold sponsor is SunTrust, and Chuck Jones is here to tell us a little bit about SunTrust.
So I'll help you. We're SunTrust and now Truist. Truist means the unselfish concern for others, because I've been asked the definition. And so we're really glad to be here. We're going to continue to support the community and do everything we can to help you in every way, because this is my home and my wife's home. My lovely bride Debbie's here tonight, and y'all have really welcomed us over the last 3 years we've been here, and it's an honor, and I really appreciate the leadership from all our city and county, all the agencies, the charitable organizations. We have a great community that lives to serve, and we're proud to sponsor that.
Our bronze sponsor tonight is Kinetic by Windstream, and Michael Ford, who's their government affairs person, is going to come up here and talk to us. And while he's coming up, I'm going to point out Jonathan Walden, who has been on the ground here in Lumpkin County for a little while, and he's just an incredible representative for that organization. You got a problem, you get him involved, he'll fix it in a heartbeat.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, I don't have my beautiful wife, but I do have John. He's a good one. He really is a treasure to our company, and he is from Lumpkin County. I live in White County. Jonathan's right here, born and raised, and if you have a problem, he really is one to take care of you. We've been working hard. We've been doing a lot of work in the community. I hope you're starting to see it. We now pass around 13,000 homes here in Lumpkin County. We've got about 9,500 of them that are 25 meg or more, which in 2013, that was 250 houses. So we've gone from 250 houses to 9,500 that have access to 25 meg or more. We've got 7,000 that have access to 100 meg or more. So tomorrow we have a Customer Appreciation Day at our retail store up by Walmart. I would invite anybody who wants to learn more about what we've done in the community to go. Jonathan will be there, so you can shake his hand. You can also meet our local manager, Gary Smith, and our director for the area, Olin Yarborough. So we welcome you to come. We're grateful for this opportunity to be part of this event. Thank you.
Thanks to our great sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring a future chamber event, just please see me or one of the staff. Joining us tonight is Brad Williamson. He's a field representative for Senator Kelly Loeffler's Senate office, and he's going to briefly share some information about the services they provide. Brad contacted me the other day, and I said, "Oh, come here, because it's always good to know how you can get in contact with your senators." So, Brad.
Thank you guys for inviting me into your community. I'll echo Sheriff Gerard's remarks that it's certainly good to get out of Atlanta for once. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Brad Williamson. I was formerly with Senator Isaacson's office. Currently I'm serving with Senator Loeffler's office. I just wanted to reach out to you guys and let you know the services we offer. If you guys are having any issues with any federal agencies, which I'm sure somebody in here has had an issue with a federal agency at one point in their life, but we are happy to assist you guys in any way we can. We have some of the best constituent services, representatives, humbly in the state. So I really ask that you reach out if we can ever be of assistance, or if we can ever attend any event, or you guys ever really need to address any concerns. Obviously, everything that's going on right now has made it a little tough to deal with anything else, but Senator Leffler is going to be sitting on the Ag, Health, and VA committees, so she's excited to get to work for the people of Georgia and serve our interests. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Bruce has VA committee, so make sure you get his contact information. I'm going to introduce a member of our Governmental Affairs Committee and board member that is a super favorite amongst the staff. We have a phrase, "Be like Chuck," because he just does awesome stuff for us. So Charles Jones is the head of National Indirect Lending and leads the Dealer Financial Services line of business. This includes responsibility for serving auto dealers with their indirect auto lending needs. In addition, he has responsibility for marine and RV lending within SunTrust Banks. Chuck is a graduate of Sam Houston State University, where he earned a BA in finance in 1981. In 1985, he completed the ABA Retail Lending School at the University of Oklahoma. In 2011, Chuck was inducted into the Hall of Honor for College of Business Administration at Sam Houston State University for his service to the university, community, and industry. And in 2019, he was named Distinguished Alumnus. He also serves on the Advisory Council for the College of Business Administration of Sam Houston State, Board of Directors for the Dahlonega Lumpkin County Chamber of Commerce and Government Affairs Committee, Board Member for the Development Authority of Lumpkin County. And in January 2019, Chuck was named the Dahlonega Lumpkin County Chamber and Visitors Bureau Volunteer of the Year and Government Affairs Volunteer of the Year. Now listen to this. Chuck and his wife Debbie have sponsored 132 college sponsorships since 2002 at various colleges and universities in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. It just shows how incredible he is. He and his wife, and I might add that Debbie is an excellent baker. They reside in Dahlonega and have one daughter, Lauren, who is 33. And Chuck will be introducing our speakers tonight. Chuck?
This is interesting because Zach and I are the before and after. Zach is before, I'm after. Debbie's a great baker. I was 60 pounds lighter when we got married, so I do like to sample the goods. I'd like to deviate a little bit. If all of our county and city officials would stand up so we could recognize you, please do so in the audience. And we have a number of volunteer organizations, so I'm going to do this at random. All the individuals here tonight that volunteer in the various agencies, would you please stand up? Because there's a lot. Becky, you have to stand up too. I can see you on the back row. So everybody, Bridget, you can stand up too. So this is an honor to do this. I want to talk about Chris. First, I want to thank him for his service in the military. Chris is a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. So he served our country in a lot of ways, not just what he does in the community today. He has a broad range of experience, and he leads and manages his own business here in Lumpkin County for 25 years. He has served or is serving on the Development Authority, the Water and Sewer, the Board of Trustees for the County Commissioners Association, Group Insurance, members of various councils. If you look at what Chris, all of our public officials, Sam will be introduced later, they serve in ways that we never know. It's not just what their regular job is, it's their regular job for their families that they run in the businesses, but it's all the other communities. He does a great job. So with that, I'm going to shorten and turn it over to Chris because he's who you came to hear. So Chris.
Thanks, Chuck, and I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for doing this. I think this is a great platform for you, the voters, the taxpayers of our community to know what's going on. So thank you, Rob, for the leadership of the Chamber. Before I start, I'd like to thank Commissioner Moran, Dr. David Miller, our District 1 Commissioner, for being here. And we recognize the current serving elected officials, but if you've ever served as an elected official, I'd like for you to stand up. That's you too, Lynn. So I know there's more. I saw Gerald Lord. I know he served. So anyway, it's a commitment, and it's a good way to give back to your community. So thank all of you who have taken time to serve. Before we get started, I'll tell you what happened this morning. We were at Rotary, and anybody that's been around knows that there's sometimes the relationship between the county and city has not always been what it should be. Maybe there's been some issues of trust, I guess. But I can say that the relationship between the county and the city is getting better daily. And I'm going to tell you a story that proves that. So we're at Rotary this morning, and I saw the mayor there. And so I walked over to him and I said, you going to wear a tie tonight? And he said, gosh, I really haven't thought about it, but I really don't want to. I said, I'll tell you what, why don't we just agree that we're not going to wear a tie? And I got one in my truck, but no, I'm just kidding. So we decided not to wear a tie. Rob, will you stand up? But we didn't tell Rob that we weren't going to wear a tie tonight. But we need to have a little fun over here, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Lumpkin County, some of the things, some budget things, some things that we've done, and some things that we're going to do. This right here is our general fund budget. This is the revenue side. So this is where we get our money to operate your local government. As you can see, about 75% of that comes from taxes. And also, if you look up there, you see about 15% of it comes from charges for services. This would be things like, your park and rec fees and the various things that you pay for those county services. So that's the bulk of it, and then there's a few other revenue sources there. On the expenditure side, this is pretty interesting. If you look, you'll see about 43% of that goes to public safety. That's your fire, your EMS, your law enforcement, and then general government. That's all the things that you enjoy, the clerk of court, all of those different things, and the justice center, the judicial part. So if you look at how that money is being spent, I think the biggest takeaway there is there's very little discretionary spending in the county's budget. Most of it goes directly for those services that are provided. And one thing, if you look right there at the public works, you'll see that's about 7.25% of the total budget. That's your roads and bridges. So I bet everybody thought that number was higher. So going on outside of the general budget, we'll talk a little bit about the special purpose local option sales tax. Currently, we're under the 2014 SPLOST. That expires this spring. And these are the various projects that we've been able to work on with that SPLOST. You can see the first is the contract payments for the judicial center. That's a fancy way of saying that pays for the debt for the new courthouse. The administrative facility improvements, the $1.2 million there, those are upgrades that we've done to county buildings. We're trying to extend the life of those buildings. And also, with that money, once the library moves into the new library, then we have that facility. We're going to do some upgrades in that building. We're going to consolidate some things as it works, as it pertains to development. We hope to put the development authority in there, the water authority, planning, all of those things, so people who are looking to invest in Lumpkin County have got a one-stop shop. So that's the plan for the rest of that. Also, we've done some public facility renovations and vehicles, and I'll go down through the list. I want to touch on the Board of Election upgrades there. There's money there. That was mainly put in there because we knew that there would be improvements to the voting machines, and there might need to be some changes made. So we invested that $40,000 for those changes. The library, of course, $1 million in this SPLOST. There was $1 million in the 2008, and then $1 million in the 2020 we'll get to in a second. So also on roads and bridges, it's kind of important to look at the $4.2 million on roads and bridges. So the majority of the road maintenance we did was paid for through that special purpose local option sales tax. And then also the senior facilities of $50,000 that we invested locally to match a community development block grant. So we did an expansion to the senior center. If you look right out this window, you can see it. It turned out very nice. They like it. And then also sheriff's vehicles and then water authority system improvements. If you look back the economic development, you'll see $500,000 in the 2014 SPLOST, and then under the water authority, you'll see $500,000. So just remember those two numbers. This is a 2020 SPLOST, so this will be the next SPLOST the voters passed that we'll be operating with. I want to point out economic development. You'll see $2 million there in economic development. And then if you go down to the water and sewer, or the water authority system, you see $4 million. So what we did is we took the SPLOST after we had our community visioning, and people said what they thought that we should be investing in and what we should be doing as a local government. We listened to that. So when we put the SPLOST together, it's heavily weighted toward those economic development infrastructure needs. So you can see there the projects that we have, roads and bridges. You remember in the 2014 there was over $4 million. It's cut down drastically in the 2020 SPLOST. The things on the bottom are projects for the city of Dahlonega. I'm sure the mayor will talk about those in more detail in a few minutes. So going on to capital projects that we've done over the past couple of years, the fueling station. If there's a hurricane or a natural disaster and fuel supplies are cut off, pipelines are cut off, sometimes it's hard to get that fuel for our local government. And that's okay if you're talking about a non-essential vehicle, but when you're talking about patrol cars, you're talking about ambulances, you're talking about fire trucks, we were uncomfortable that we might not be able to get that fuel. So we wanted to invest in a fueling station. So when we did that as a county, we also signed an agreement with the city of Dahlonega who uses this fueling station. So not only does the county benefit from this station, the city of Dahlonega uses it as well. And recently the water authority just signed on to use this fueling station. So energy efficient upgrades. These are some of our buildings. If you go back and you look at fluorescent lighting, incandescent lighting, now we know we all have LED, a lot more efficient, uses a lot less electricity. Window upgrades, more efficient windows and openings in some of our buildings, just to try to be more energy efficient and conscious of the environment. Fire Station 7, we completed this in 2018. This was actually a 2004 SPLOST item that was never completed. So I'm thankful that we were able to fulfill that commitment to the voters. The library. Everybody has, I hope you've seen the new library. And that's more than just a place to check out a book. There's a computer lab there, there's tutor rooms there, there's meeting space that's as big as this room there. It's really going to be a community center, a place that we as Lumpkin Countyans can be proud of. And that will be opening this spring. So we're really excited. That's been on an item in the SPLOST since 2004, but the county's never been in a position to make it happen. So I'm glad now that we can actually see that come to fruition. So I think the library tells us a lot about the community and our commitment to the future of our county. The senior expansion we touched on, and also the splash pad. Now, I know Ron Larson's not here. I think the last time I talked about it, I got the name wrong, but it's the Dahlonega Sunrise Rotary Club that partnered with Lumpkin County to make that splash pad happen. and it was one of the most popular places in the county this summer, I think. It got plenty of use. And also, upcoming capital projects, a pool. When we built the library, the infrastructure was in the ground as a result of when the Justice Center was built. So that place was already labeled for the library. So in order to make the library happen there, we had to close the pool. But one of the things, we didn't just arbitrarily close the pool because we wanted to build a library there. People need to know that we spent over $50,000 making repairs on that pool. And those repairs were unsuccessful. In order to keep that pool going, it was going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we decided that we're not going to throw good money after the bad. We're going to abandon this pool. We're going to put the library where it was planned to be. And then we as a board are committed to go back and looking for the best place to put a pool. And then we will rebuild a pool for our community to use. Road maintenance. This is a function of the county. Remember, this is only 7.25% of your budget. But this is what a lot of the things that we do with our road maintenance. There's 348 miles of paved roads and 48 miles of gravel road, and they're constantly needing maintenance. The ditches are needing pulled. Actually had a lady tell me a while ago about a culvert that was stopped up. So I'll tell everybody here, if you have road maintenance issues, you can go onto the county website, lumpkincounty.gov, and there's actually a form that you can fill out. You go in there and you fill out that road maintenance request form, it gets to the right people, and that's the best way to get a response if you have a road maintenance issue, whether the limbs need to be cleared back for visibility to pull out, whatever the maintenance is, a pothole, a stopped up ditch, that's what that's for. So use that number and or that website and fill that form out. That's the best way to get that. But those are some of the things that we do through our road department. One other thing that I want to point out is we have Mr. Larry Ryder, who's with us tonight. He's in the back of the room there. But he's the county engineer. He's a PE, and he helps us do a lot of things in the county that otherwise we would have to hire a third party to do. And there's a lot of consulting companies that do that, but we save a tremendous amount of money, save you, the taxpayers, money by doing a lot of our civil design, our traffic studies, speed limit studies. We get to do all of that in-house, and road evaluations. So when you're looking at paving schedules, we go out, those guys, him and Charles Tremble, will go out and score those roads and categorize them as to which ones are in the worst shape based on the volume of traffic and the condition of the road surface. And they're also qualified to help us do that contract bidding, the pre-bid meetings, things that a lot of counties have to farm out to a third party, we're able to do in-house. And then also when we do our paving, if you ever notice a construction project with a state, with some other counties, you'll see maybe a small pickup and it'll have somebody in associates on it, and that's a firm that's been hired to make sure that they're doing correctly. We're fortunate that we have those people that are qualified in-house here, and it saves the taxpayers a lot of money. Talk a little bit about safety improvements. The T-SPLOST, the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax that was passed last year, has really helped us with that. And also, we try to leverage as much DOT funding as we can for these safety, what they call off-system or unprogrammed safety improvements. So if we identify something in the county that is considered a safety hazard, we can get funding to correct those issues. So this year, actually in 2019, we were able to get more than $128,000 for those off-system safety improvements of our roads. The Transportation Local Option Sales Tax that was passed last year, these are some of the things that we're working on here. The Lumpkin County and City of Dahlonega has a joint project to create a roundabout at the intersection of 19 Business North and Oak Grove Road. If anybody goes around there during school times, you know that that's a very dangerous intersection. A A lot of people will just dead stop, like the sheriff said, just to be nice, because that's the way we are in Lumpkin County, but sometimes that's confusing for the flow of traffic. So that intersection, hopefully in the near future, you'll see some major improvements. The road maintenance equipment. So for years, our road crews have worked with equipment that has been substandard, that's been wore out, and quite honestly, I will say, was quite dangerous. I saw trucks with basically no seat. I saw a truck that didn't have a complete steering wheel. I certainly don't think anybody would expect our road crews to work with that kind of equipment. So we made a commitment as a board to correct some of these things. One of the things you see up there is a mini excavator. That's a small digging machine that we bought that we can clean out culverts and things a lot quicker because they're not as cumbersome to haul as like a big backhoe. So we invested in those things. And one neat thing about this mini excavator, we talked about that form that you fill out. This mini excavator actually has a mower that can go on it. So if you do have an intersection that is obstructed by limbs and things like that, instead of bringing a sidearm, the big John Deere thing you see going all over the county, instead of having to relocate that and maybe drive it 15 miles to cut a few branches back, now we're able to take this mini excavator, offload it, address that little issue, and then take it back to another job. So it makes our road maintenance a lot more efficient. And then we also invested in a spreader truck. That can help us in inclement weather. It can also help us with gravel. So in addition to this equipment that we bought in the roundabout, we'll also be paving a lot more roads. So when the weather breaks this summer, you're probably going to see more paving going on in Lumpkin County than you ever have, because we have gotten the funding through this T-SPOS to pave a lot more miles of road. So we're really excited about this summer. We have the list. The board has not approved that list, so I don't want to list any roads out there that are going to be paved, but we'll be discussing that in the near future, and that list will be published. A little bit about the airport authority. We created an airport authority back in 2018. That same year, we invested in resurfacing that runway. Now, one thing that's real significant about resurfacing that runway is Whitby International Airport, as we refer to it, is not an FAA-approved airport. So you can't leverage any federal funds to get that airport paid. So when you go to the state and you ask for money, and they can't turn around and leverage from the federal government, it's really hard to get the money to pave an airport that's not FAA approved. But we were persistent, and we worked with our state legislatures, and we were able to convince them that we really needed to do this. So while the timing was right and the stars were aligned, we went ahead and we paved the runway at the airport. And currently we just finished up the safety enhancements. There were some embankments along the runway that posed a danger to the aircraft that were taking off and landing. So we moved a lot of dirt out there, and we've made the area around the runway a lot safer. So our airport authority is doing great things, and we're really proud of the airport that we have, and you'd be surprised how much use it actually gets. There again is a picture of the completed splash pad that was funded with the help of the Sunrise Rotary Club. Talk a little bit about emergency services. That's always important. We've done a lot of improvements with our emergency services. We have a countywide Class 4 ISO rating. Beforehand, some of that was lower, some of it was higher. Now it's a consistent Class 4. If you're over 5 miles from a fire station, it's a Class 10. Class 10, not being anywhere near as good as a Class 4, but it's because of that distance. So what we try to do as a Board of Commissioners is we try to balance between how much fire protection can we afford. If you had a fire station at every intersection, it still would not be enough fire protection. I don't know how you gauge where that fire protection is. We have a retreat coming up. One of the items on the retreat is to discuss a fire station west of town in that area. According to our fire chief, who's here with us tonight, if we have one additional fire station in that area, he thinks that he can adequately cover the county. So we're serious about looking at that 10th station. Currently, we have 9 stations for staff. This is very important. At the Camp Merrill, we have an automatic aid agreement, so that is just like a fire station for the county. We can call them and they respond. We also have mutual aid agreements with our surrounding counties, Dawson County, White County, Hall, and Union. So it's always good to be able to work with your neighbors to benefit the citizens of both counties. And this is very important too, because the city of Dahlonega does not have a fire station. Lumpkin County provides those fire and EMS services for the city. But it's important to know that the city of Dahlonega contributes $50,000 annually to that fire protection and EMS service. Here's some of our equipment. I won't read it all, but you can see that we have various ambulances, and that day truck, that's more of a transport truck for non-emergency. Why do we have a day truck? Because if we don't, then we have to use those ALS ambulances to transport non-emergency, and that takes it away from the county. So that's the reason we run that day truck. I will tell you this, when it comes to paramedics, there's a shortage. There's a shortage here in Lumpkin County, there's a shortage in Georgia, and there's a shortage across the nation. It's just hard to find people that are willing to do that job. So it's a constant battle to keep those positions filled, and that's something that is a concern to this board. It's something that we're constantly talking about, trying to come up with a fix of how we can best continue to man the ambulances that we have. But that shortage just does not stop at the county line. Any county you talk to will tell you that that's a problem. Seems to be a trend across the nation. The senior center expansion that we mentioned earlier, that was done with a community development block grant, so that's $595,000, and we matched a local $60,000, so we were able to leverage a lot of money from the state and federal government to get that done. So anybody that's interested in seeing that, please stop by. And if you go to the senior center, there's lots of opportunities to volunteer. If anybody's interested, Meals on Wheels, and then they have various programs down there. So if you're looking at a way to get involved, that's certainly a good way. This is not an artist rendering. This is actually the building. It looks very similar to the artist rendering. But we're proud of this building. So we're going to open that thing on March 28, 2020, which is a Saturday. I'm sure we'll have ticker tape and balloons and Kool-Aid and cookies, and I hope that everybody that's sitting here will take time to come see our new library, because I think you're going to be as proud of it as we are. So now, we'll talk about Highway 400, the Gateway Corridor, and the growth of Lumpkin County. Everybody knows that we have Northeast Georgia Health Systems building a hospital down there. They were here a couple of weeks ago, and they briefed their plans. We expect that to happen in the very near future this summer. So we as a board, we wanted to go back last year and look at the regulations that we have in place down there and make sure that they actually reflect what we want them to reflect. So we had a moratorium placed on any development along the 400 corridor. We set up various meetings with the public, and to gain that public input, there were opportunities to fill out surveys online, and we took that information and we made some updates to our land use regulations along that corridor. And we think that they're in keeping with what we want our county to be, how we want it to look, what we want our front door to look like. And we're proud to make those updates. A question I get asked frequently is about water and sewer at the end of 400. I will tell you that there is a 12-inch main water line that runs down 400. It goes all the way to Blackburn School. So there is plenty of water there. There's plenty of water at the source. That 12-inch main is hooked to the treatment facility that's owned by the city of Dahlonega. So we have access to as much water as we could possibly need in that area. And then more importantly, sewer. Sewer seems to be an issue or a constant question, how you're going to service that area with sewer. Well, what everybody needs to know is on the south side of the Chestatee River, going toward Dawsonville, there's a lift station in place there. There's a horizontal bore under the Chestatee River, and that lift station is ready for gravity flow into that lift station. So all of the pad, the area around the hospital, when it comes to sewer needs for the hospital, any businesses around there, then that capacity is existing. The treatment facility that we have on Red Oak Flats, which is privately owned, has a capacity to treat 50,000 gallons per day. The current usage from the businesses right there at that intersection is 6,000 gallons. So they're currently treating 6,000 gallons a day. They have the capacity to treat 50,000 gallons a day. So they can treat 44,000 gallons more than what they're currently doing. To give you an example, when we talked with the city, when we talked with Northeast Georgia and we asked them, how much capacity do you think you would need it if you were full? If you were operating as heavy as you could. 10 to 11,000 gallons a day. So if that kind of puts in perspective, if there's any concern about sewer capacity, then I hope this answers your question. In addition, the plant that is there can be expanded to handle 75,000 gallons. So when the owner of that plant is required to, he must add to have that capacity of 75,000 gallons. So as far as water and sewer at the end of 400, it's there. We're ready for that growth. Northeast Georgia Medical Center, again, they're breaking ground summer of 2020. And according to Dr. Whitfield, she hopes to have their first patient October 2021, and I just told her I hope it's not me. In addition to Northeast Georgia, the Development Authority, our planning department, also are working with several prospective developments in that area. So I think once you see the ground break down there, that you're really going to see a lot start happening. And we're excited about that. So again, I think Lumpkin County is a model of local government. That's what we strive to do on a daily basis. And again, you see our core values there: trustworthiness, respect, integrity, excellence, and dedication. And I think that accurately represents each employee of your local government, some of which we have with us tonight. So if you work for Lumpkin County, please stand up so the crowd can see the hard-working men and women that make it done every day. These four in the back work for the county government, but they're already standing up, so we're not going to let them by. Again, thank you so much. I'm truly honored to serve as the chairman of your board of commissioners, and we appreciate, again, the chamber, Chuck, Rob, you guys for making this possible tonight. Thank you.
I've never been coordinated enough to do it quicker, so Chris is ahead of me, so obviously I can't do that. So I wanted to turn it over to Mayor Norton. I would like to take a moment and congratulate him and his wife. Their daughter Celeste is going to graduate with a triple major. So we're not going to be comparing GPAs with her. And she's also engaged to be married, so we want to congratulate you. Dan is born and raised in South Georgia. He's from Lakeland. He still has a family farm down there. They have pecans and timber. He's lived in Dahlonega since 2000, and he is on every committee regionally to serve us and represent us. And he's also, like Chris, they cover a lot of territory to help us and get representation. But he does a great job. He's also the vice chairman of our 13-county Georgia Mountain Regional Commission, which is extremely important as we coordinate activities across that. And because he doesn't have any free time, he has 3 businesses with his wife, so obviously he has lots of downtime to help us. And I highly urge you to go by and have a cup of coffee with him. He's always available. So with that, Sam, I'll turn it over to you.
Very much. When my daughter said, Dad, I hope it's okay, but we want a small wedding. I went, well, okay, I guess. Anyway, we got that to look forward to. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event. Another great job. You go further than necessary and further than expected in fulfilling your mission in the Chamber. Y'all do a great job, and people that are streaming live, that's great. And Fetcher News, they do an excellent job on social media, getting the word out. And that's what it's all about. We work for you. We are here as your servant, and that's important to just go ahead and say right up front. So thank you for having the opportunity and to be here tonight. State of the city. Chris does a lot more graphs than I do. And I'm fine with that. They've got a lot bigger budget. They've got more money to talk about. So I'm going to be more visual oriented. The unemployment rate, the state of the city, the unemployment rate in Dahlonega Lumpkin County is 3.4%. And that is the reason why, one of the reasons why you wait so long at a restaurant. There's just nobody to hire. It's great, but it's also bad. So unemployment rate is low, and that is a good thing for us. Our unofficial population now in Dahlonega is right at 7,000. So it has, doubled in the last 20 years, thereabout. So we're getting on up there, and I don't have to explain to y'all what that means. That means more building, more traffic, more everything. 419 business licenses in the city of Dahlonega. Isn't that crazy? 419 businesses, and every one of them has renewed or paid their business license except for one. And we know who that is. But anyway, the staff does a great job getting those business licenses paid. Events, that's what Dahlonega is all about. The county does a lot of heavy lifting on essential services. They take care of fire and police and things of that nature. And Dahlonega, we do more of the tourist. We do more of the economic development in town. That's kind of shifting. We're going through some growing modes, and we talk about the lost and other negotiations. That's the reason to get a bigger portion. We are not consolidated, but we try very hard not to overlap and have a redundancy of services. So that's a good thing, and that is the city working well with the county again. So we don't have a lot of overlap. There's not a lot of redundancy. Finance and City of Dahlonega, our total budget is $5 million, thereabout. The county's is much larger than ours. T-Splosh, that's the local option sales tax for transportation. We will recover about $3.1 million for that. And as Chris said, we have a joint project. Will be our first thing, which is a roundabout at Oak Grove Road and Grove Street. That's a very dangerous intersection, and so we look forward to getting that done. Splosh funds are, again, that's that local option sales tax. That's that penny, and we get a portion of that funding infrastructure. That's what it's for, and that's what we're using it for. We're putting it in the ground, places you can see it and places you can't. Infrastructure. Our bond rating, Standard & Poor's bond rating, we've improved on that. State of the city is a great bond rating, and that helps us. That equates to money. Anytime you can improve your bond rating. Grant dollars, we're always trying to leverage grant dollars. We were successful in about $300,000 worth of grants last year. We've got some bigger ones this year, hopefully, that we're not prepared to announce yet, but we'll speak about those a little bit further. Also, our millage rate, we reduced, just like the county did. We went to the voters and said, if we'll pass this T-Splosh, then we're going to reduce property taxes. So the city and the county both reduced their millage rate last year, which is a good thing. So being true to that commitment, and anytime we can, personally, and I think anytime we can use sales tax to offset property tax, that's a good thing, because it's estimated that about 30 to 40% of our sales tax is coming from tourists, so it lessens the burden on us on our property tax. Dahlonega, we've got the wine plateau in town. That's kind of old news, but it's never really been touted, and it's never really been fully utilized. The wine plateau, I hope next few years or soon we can get the full advantage of having that wine plateau designation. The historic square, 100 businesses on the square, roughly, more or less, depending on what's going on, and they all have their little quirky personalities and stuff. So that's good and bad sometimes. And low vacancies. We've had some turnover on the square, but most every building that's not occupied is already leased, and there's already a business just kind of idling, waiting to get into it. Those businesses don't stay vacant very long, and those of you that tried to get one, you know what I'm talking about. You've got to be prepared whenever the opportunity happens. Dahlonega Heritage. As we continue to grow, and growth is inevitable, of course, and it's obvious also. You can see raw dirt everywhere. We've got building going on from one end of this county to the other and in the city. We don't need to forget who we are or why we moved here. We're going to grow, so we're just trying to grow smartly. We're trying to plan for growth. We're trying to listen to our constituents and make plans for the growth that's coming. We've done some things recently, like our historic cemetery committee. They've done a wonderful job documenting our history and giving credence to all those people who's come before us. They've done a really good job out there. As Chuck said, I'm on the Regions Commission, and that helps us also with a lot of our issues, because a lot of our issues are regional issues. Water doesn't stop flowing at the county line. Traffic doesn't stop at the city limits. Pollution and trash blowing out. These regional issues, and we've been able to work on those with our neighbors in White, Union, and Dawson, and Forsyth. All of us in that 13-county region, we've got some issues that whenever we work together, we can get a lot more done than any one of us can. Oh, that's a double dip. Tourism. There again, we're dedicated to tourism and economic development. We've got a new tourism committee that's staffed with designees from the city and the county, and they are focused just on tourism, and they've hit the ground running. Our tourism director, Sam McDuffie, was here just a minute ago. Is Sam still here? Hey, Sam, doing a wonderful job with tourism, and good job with that. A 3% discretionary funds, which is the hotel motel tax. The county leverages 5%, the city 8%. That 3% is something that we're doing tourism product development with. We built the All Abilities Hancock, the All Abilities Playground in Hancock Park. That was done with hotel motel tax funds. Some of the other things that's going on are trails and maybe a joint project, finally renovating the bathrooms at the Welcome Center. Anybody's seen those? They've been needing that for a long time. Trail plans, we've got the Hummingbird Trail that's being discussed. I know that's kind of different, but we think we can get grant money because there's not another one in the state. A lot of butterfly trails, and that may be out near the Sky Country Wimpy Mill Park. And also a parking deck. We think we can finally start realistically talking about a parking deck. So I don't know what we would really talk about if we didn't talk about parking in Dahlonega, but I'm eager to find out. We don't really have a location for that parking deck. We're going to hire someone that's an expert, but that's what they do, like our parking study. Everybody's got opinions, but we're going to hire somebody that will give us some good advice on that and see if we can fund the parking deck. Community service. I took the liberty of there's over 200 volunteer organizations in Dahlonega Lumpkin County. That's a lot of organizations. But the one I chose to put on my slide was the old-fashioned Christmas, because I think y'all all would agree that they just hit it out of the park this year. They did a wonderful job, and I was looking in the crowd trying to see if I'd see any of the volunteers, and I see just one. Ms. Perkins, if you would, please stand up. Let us thank you publicly for that is a huge effort, and it's done almost completely by volunteers. The DDA and the chamber help out, but the heavy lifting, almost all the heavy lifting is done by volunteers, and weather at night, and hanging lights, and doing everything. The Festival of Trees was a new event. Cindy Tomlin did that. I got to sponsor a tree, and then you donate the tree, or you carry it home. I donated my tree to the city, of course, and they're going to plant it. I found out today they're going to plant it in front of City Hall. So that's awesome. And so we'll be able to decorate that live tree every year. So if it continues next year, maybe we'll have more trees in different locations that are alive to do. But they just really did a wonderful job, and y'all saw the numbers, and we're very thankful to have that group. I can remember when I was the president of the Merchants Association 15 years ago, we would all go to someone's house and test every light bulb and try to reuse those lights. Well, I'm glad we moved on from that. And we're drinking wine also. That had a little bit to do with it, but we've really gone a long ways with our Christmas, and thanks to the Old-Fashioned Christmas Committee for that. Infrastructure, can't talk about the state of the city without infrastructure. Chris was talking about the 360-something miles of road. Well, the city of Dahlonega has got 34 miles. But there again, it's all relative. We pave about 2 miles of road a year is what we pave. So roughly every 17 years, you can expect to get your road paved. We just did them in the Mount Hope Cemetery. It was almost 50 years since those roads were paved. They were in terrible shape. And it's hard to spend your money on roads that people aren't supposed to vote that live there. So we paved the roads in the cemetery. So maybe we're good for another 50 years. We got that done. 5G, I think, is coming to Dahlonega. That's what we hear. That will help a lot downtown as far as internet speeds and wireless. Connectability. Talked earlier about grants that we're pursuing, and I'm certain I can't say publicly that we were successful with the grants, but there's going to be a trail that leads from Hancock Park down Wimpy Mill Road. Y'all saw the new sidewalk. We think we have the funding and the grant to get over Yahula Creek, there at the old water plant, all the way up to Morrison Moore Parkway and back down to Walmart. That will be a 5K loop without getting in the street. So now we've got a 5K, and that's going to tie into the county and the city with a trail around the reservoir. Just a lot's going on. The city has great planning for these trails, master plans for biking and hiking trails. The county has some master trail plans coming up for things going on the backside of the reservoir. So there's just a lot of coordination going on and cooperation between the city and the county. We hear that we need these trails. Other communities have them, so we're zeroing in on them with grants. New bridges. We've got that new pedestrian bridge. And I don't know if you bought a bridge lately, but oh my gosh, $150,000 for a small bridge. But we think we've got a grant for it, so that'll be wonderful. That'll just be one more extension to these trails we're trying to connect to each other. Water production, infrastructure, water production. The city has roughly 2,350 customers. That's water meters, customers on the water side. 63 miles of water line. We only have 34 miles of road, but we've got 63 miles of water line. Our last connection increase for tap fees was back in 2011. So our fees are kind of high, I agree with that, but they haven't moved since 2011. The joint reservoir that everybody enjoys hiking and walking around, that's 141 acres that the city and county, another joint project, we jointly manage that. 850 million gallons of water in that reservoir that averages about 17 to 39 feet deep. And I'd say it's 150 million gallons, just so you'll know, we treat about 1 million gallons. On a busy day, 1.6 million gallons, so we've got plenty of water. And the water plant is no longer subsidized by tax money. That's a very important thing to say, because it used to have to be, we would transfer money into the operations of water and sewer, but now it is self-sustaining, so that's a good thing. Anytime we add customers now, it potentially can lower the cost. So we're to that point now, finally. Where's our growth going to be? Our growth is going to be on the old Moe property, back behind Wendy's. There's a large tract of land in there, and it's ripe for development. It's got all the infrastructure. It's got water and sewer and internet and everything. The old school property downtown, that's another great place, and that is going to, that and the head house, our DDA, which our DDA director, Shannon, is here somewhere, and her DDA team are going to give us some ideas on that. So that may or may not develop. We're putting that to that citizen-led group, and we're going to take some input on that. And so the old school property and definitely the head house, we should see some activity over there very soon. And 2 new downtown hotels. I know y'all haven't noticed, but there's a hotel being built on Main Street. There was also another hotel expansion, and that was a Smith House. It kind of quietly just slipped right through, and they added about 20-something rooms over on their side. So with those 2 hotels, I will give Dahlonega 6 hotels, or 7, depending on how you count them, in the city limits. So that's a lot of hotels. And the hotel downtown will be probably the most significant construction that's happened since Madeline Anthony revamped the Gold Museum. That's going to bring 100 people around the clock, day in, day out, customers to downtown Dahlonega. We've never had that. And so the chicken and the egg of why don't the businesses stay open later, because the pedestrians aren't there, the customers aren't there. So this is going to really change that paradigm. It's going to shake up downtown. I just hope not too much, but that's the kind of stuff that keeps us awake at night. You want growth, you want smart growth. It's looking really good. That brick is the same style and color brick that's on the Gold Museum and on the Chamber of Commerce. And I think it's going to look good. From the plans that we've seen, which are the same plans that everyone has seen, they haven't changed since the original plan was submitted. It's going to be good, and it's going to have a 0 impact on parking. I hope. There's 75 rooms and there's 76 parking spots, so that's a good thing too. Together we advance. This is by council behind us, with the exception, since we're talking about the state of the city, so we're talking about last year and where we're at today and what we're prepared for. I'd like to introduce our new council member, Johnny Ariama. If you'll please stand up. Johnny is back on the council. You can barely see by the faded out picture in the back, but Bruce Hoffman is on that picture, so sorry about that. I don't have an updated picture yet. It's just too early, but we'll work on that. The City of Ethics. We are City Ethics. Every year we renew our obligation, which is a legal document, that we are a City of Ethics. I think people expect us to act ethically, and we all raise our hand and swear that we're going to uphold the laws of the city and the county and the state and also this country. And we're required to do that. We are a City of Ethics, and also the Regional Commission that I now chair is also an organization of ethics, and that's an ethics policy that we all commit to. So there is some teeth in that, and the community holds us accountable to be ethical. So there it is. Some of the things that we've done recently, we are updating the city's website. You can now find all of our ordinances, our codes, our agendas, our minutes, our meeting times and dates. All that's online now, and that's a new thing for us. We've got Wi-Fi that's available in City Hall, and that's been available for over a year, but it was circulating that the city doesn't have Wi-Fi available to the public. But it's there. Just come on down. Also, we're updating all of our financial software, and I think Allison in the back, she could attest that that's a big deal whenever you start updating your software. So the software is going to cost us, I forgot what the bid was, $50,000 for the software. That software that we're using today is the same software we used in 1985. So they're worried to death that they're going to lose something in the transition. I don't know why. But, oh my God. So that's a big deal. But when we get that done, then you'll be able to pay online. We're moving into the current times, I believe, and we're getting there kicking and screaming. So that's just another update for downtown, and just trying to be ready and trying to be more user friendly. The state of the city is strong. I put my wife's picture up simply because she makes me look good. And the spouses really support us, or we couldn't do what we did. I just got a page a while ago. Would you let me bring you something back? The kids are in town. We're all having dinner. And when I leave from here, I've got to go to Atlanta because since Stacy's convention is over, now it's the city's turn. So that's where all the city councilmen are. They're all waiting on me in Atlanta. So when we leave from here, we'll be going there. But the state of the city in Dahlonega is strong, and we're optimistic. We've got all the key players where we need them. We have the staff. We're updating our software. The state of the city is good and strong, and our best years to come. So thank you all very much. And I'll take, we're doing questions? No questions, sorry about that.
We are going to do questions because I'm going to do about a 45-minute fact-checking commentary on those 6 speeches there. Well, we'd like to thank our great sponsors, Northside Hospital, SunTrust, and Kinetic by Windstream. Thank you for all attending tonight, and on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Dahlonega Lumpkin County Chamber of Visitors Bureau, thanks to Chairman Chris Dockery and Mayor Sam Norton. Thank you all. Have a good weekend.